I do not mean to upset or offend anyone, but if you are upset or offended by what I say, you are not a true follower of God, the creator of all the good in our universe, the highest intelligent life force, the bearer of all truths, or his son, the torchbearer of the truth and light, peace, love, harmony, health and happiness. Your minds have all changed. You are following a different mindset. They have used the cunning art of manipulation and deception on you to change your minds. You are now thinking like different children. You don't think like God anymore. That is because you've all accepted homosexuality. And the Bible teaches you that God, the creator of all the good, taught that homosexuality was an abomination. And his son taught that your salvation was not to be sought in the external environment, but within the individual state of mind with regard to the environment. Now don't be alarmed or scared. I will teach you how to reverse what they have done to your mind, because that is what they have done to you. They've reversed your mind and changed your mind. The mind of God and the mind of Jesus has not changed. They've changed your mind using the rule of law. The law is not God, and the law is not the truth. Jesus, the Son of God, is the truth. He came into the world to teach the world the truth. You don't know the truth, because your truth is religion or science. Religion never told you the truth. Religion holds back secrets. And the main one that they held back was the one that teaches you how life works. I will teach you how that secret works. I will teach you how to work that secret for your life, for the better of your life, not for the bad. We all know that their science doesn't work either. They can strengthen steel, thicken plastic and toughen glass with this science. That is because they know the elements that make up steel, plastic and glass. They now know the same for us. That is what their DNA experiments allowed them to discover. So how is it that the elements that they put into our foods are weakening our structure? They're weakening our bones. They're destroying organs of our body. Sugar is the main one, and sugar is their oldest toxin. It is in the apple and all fruits. And they know that glucose is a destructive element that is also in all their foods. That is how they have destroyed you. They thicken and toughen and strengthen all those elements by adding elements to them. And sugar, parabens and yeast are elements. They're all on the apple and all fruits. And they're now in all foods. And their science advised you to eat more fruits, and you believed them. You see, it's their science that you believe. You don't believe God or Jesus. God told you not to eat the apple, and you ate it, because the British establishment taught you that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And the British establishment taught you to eat 5 a day. See, you're not following God and you're not following Jesus because you're following the British establishment. And the British establishment brought science to the world. And science doesn't follow God, it opposes God. That's how they've tricked you. And the British establishment don't follow God because they hold drug-fueled homosexual orgies. They use the law to lie and trick their people to kill 1 million innocent Iraqis. They did the same to all our Irish ancestors. So this is the law and the God that you're following. You're not following the God that you are meant to be following. The God that religion taught you to follow but tricked you to follow another one. Because they didn't follow that God either. Because science and religion are always connected. It was brought to the world by one group of people. That is why the world has always had one mindset. You have followed one group of people that follow one God. Science and religion come from the Kabbalah. It is the demonic worshipping cult of the Hebrew, the esoteric science of the rabbi. These are the people that executed the truth. And ever since that day, the world has never known the truth, because we have only known their truth. That is how they have tricked you. And I am going to show you how to unbreak the hold they have on you. Because worryingly, as the Bible teaches, the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is an electronic chip. And they have started to do this to peoples of the world. They have tested it on peoples of the world. Just like they have tested other scientific experiments, like the chemical elements that they put in your foods that do change your mind, that change your perception, as history shows. There is an organism on the grain, ergot, that caused the mind to believe it was a wolf. It's called lycanthropy. And they now have a drug to trick the mind to believe it's a cannibal. This individual ate the face of another individual. That's how powerful their chemicals are in changing your mind. And that's all they use their chemicals for, to change your mind. Not to strengthen your bones, to strengthen your heart, or to strengthen your mind, but to weaken your bones, to weaken your heart, and destroy your mind. Science is a lie. Religion is a lie. And the law is a lie. The law allowed them, as I said, to cause the Iraq War, which brought world terror. It allowed them to cause the world recession, which brought world poverty, which allowed them to buy up all our businesses and then destroy all our farmers and then control our foods. That was their main trick. Once you control the foods, you control the mind, because once you control what goes into the mouth, you control what goes into the body, and your body is your mind. From the neck up is your conscious mind, and from the neck down is your subconscious mind. Your whole body is your mind. You and everything around you are made up of elements. So therefore everything in you and around you is made up of elements. And the elements in you make up your body and your mind. And the elements around you are the elements that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, came to teach you of. They are the spirits. Even their most famous scientist once said that he received his knowledge from outer space. He also said we send and receive signals to and from our brain. We do internally. That's how we get the message that we're hungry, thirsty, or we're in pain. And the messages that we receive from the world around us are the spirit world. One example is the tsunami. All creatures left the area long before the tsunami struck. But man stayed there until he was enveloped by the waves. You see, the creatures were still in touch, communication with the good elements, the elements of the light, the side that Jesus, the Son of God, came from. But man, because of their religion and their science, so-called religion that's meant to be in commune with God, the creator of all the good, the Father of all creation, and of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and then science are also following a different God. That is why we that follow them are now following their God. They just left us there to be destroyed. Left things in our food to be destroyed because of the law. The law allowed them to put sugar in the food and we're destroyed. You're witnessing it yourself. They allowed them to put fluoride in the food, which destroys the part of your body, the third eye, your intuition, your communication with the outer world, the world around you. That is why you've lost communication, you've lost touch with nature. You are a part of nature. You're made up of the same elements of nature. So if nature can guide the creatures away, how comes nature didn't guide you away? Because your signal has been blocked. That is what fluoride does. And sugar blocks your internal signalling. Them two elements destroy your communication. That Einstein said. Their science, see? They can't deny it now because their science has taught you. So how comes we don't receive our knowledge from outer space like Einstein does? Oh, but you do. You now receive your thoughts, your signals, your communication from the same source that Einstein did. You see, because his thoughts went on to create the atom bomb. Not really thoughts from a creator, that is it? You create something, then you destroy something. That's a little bit insane. Why would God, the creator of all the good, the highest intelligent life force throughout the universe, create you and destroy you and save the animals? What is he saying to you? That he prefers the animals more than you? No. He prefers and loves all creatures that he made. And you are one of his creatures. But you are being treated even worse than an animal by their God. You see, Einstein is a liar. He said he was a pacifist. He's also a physicist. So he should know that energy is vital for life, because energy is life. And the first rule of energy is to protect and preserve it. And he would have known before he split that atom open that he would have released the energy. So therefore, even before he split that atom open, he knew he was going to destroy it. Not really the mind of a pacifist, is that? A little bit of a liar, this Einstein. And how did his knowledge get from his mind into the two scientists that created the atom bomb? Was it telepathy? Are they in commune with the same God? Or did it come out of his own mouth? I'm beginning to dislike this Einstein. I think he's a bit of a liar. I wouldn't trust him anyway. And he's following a system that creates cigarettes and alcohol, atom bombs, and then pretends that they're going to save us with medicines that even make us worse and kill us. They're killing 300,000 people every year in America. They don't care because the law protects them, protects their doctors and their nurses and their scientists that make these substances that kill us, and protects the doctors and nurses that hand them out. They don't tell us the truth. When you ask a doctor what caused your disease, they don't want you to know. They once tricked us that water was bad for us and too much salt was bad for us. But they're allowed to put too much sugar in our foods because of this law. Bit of a trick, this law, isn't it? Bit nasty, this law, isn't it? It allows them to trick us to kill 1 million innocent Iraqis. It also allows them to put things in our food that poison us, that destroy us and kill us, like sugar, then give us medicines that also destroy us. Bit of a silly little game that we're playing here, because they believe life is a game. Science believes life is a game, and they're now tricking you that life is an illusion. And your minds are delusional because you've allowed science to be taught in your school. Science that always spoke out against God, the creator of all the good in our universe. It's now always denied Jesus, but Jesus does exist. Oh, but he does exist. Because he said that a lawyer was more impervious to the gates of heaven than a rich man. And we now know why. But worryingly, this law has allowed science to create artificial intelligence. Now, a new system in their economy, Bitcoin, is controlled by artificial intelligence. And that went all the way up to 15,000, then dropped all the way back down. So even their artificial intelligence cannot control the economy, nor can their economists control the economy, because it keeps crashing. And now they're using this artificial intelligence as the law. They're using it to track down criminal gangs that use the dole to make money. Now, if this artificial intelligence cannot control the economy, I'm sure it's not going to be able to detect the true criminals. A bit like their law. It never detects the true criminals. It detects the ones that are bullied and terrorised for these criminal gangs, like the mules that are forced to carry drugs from one country to another, or tricked to carry drugs from one country to another. You see, fear is the controlling factor of this God, because that's what a bully, a terrorist does. Installs fear into somebody to get them to do what they want them to do. That is what a drug dealer does to the mules, and that is what governments do to their people. And that is what the Labour Party did in the run-up to the Iraq War. Installed fear into their people. Tricked them that Saddam Hussein would blow them up in 45 minutes and that he had weapons of mass destruction. That is a bit of a lie. And many of you won't know, before the Second World War, the same tactics were used with Hitler. They said that he was going to create the atom bomb. And that little trickster I told you about earlier, Einstein, he wrote a letter to Roosevelt saying that the Germans could have the bomb first. A little bit of a liar, this chap, Einstein. That's because he follows a system that is created in the mind of the liar. You see, because religion and science comes from the mind of the devil. He's the one that brought the Kabbalah into the world. And as I said, they are now tricking you with this artificial intelligence. It cannot control Bitcoin, and it certainly will not catch the real criminals, because the British establishment never catches the real criminals. We, the Irish people, know this. The Birmingham 6 and the Guildford 4. We know the lies of the British establishment because they've been lying to our people for centuries, and their royalty are the same. The entire British establishment was founded on a lie, because it was created by the liars, the cheats and the murderers that Jesus warned the world of. They brought Freemasonry to the world, and Freemasons control religion, and they also control science. Science was founded by Freemasons. They're the ones that control your world, and they're the ones that Kennedy was warning us of. But he never mentioned religion. You see, because modern religions follow Adam and Eve, and ancient religions followed Isis and Osiris. They are the same. In the physical world, they are Adam and Eve. In the spiritual world, they're Isis and Osiris. You've always followed these two entities. You've never followed Jesus, none of you. Don't get offended by that. I told you, I don't mean to offend you. I'm here to teach you the truth. You don't know the truth. You don't even know what it means. That's why the truth offends you. That's why they will trick you that someone like me is controversial. Well, I think it's controversial to use a system to annihilate 1 million innocent Iraqis, murder them, butcher them, torture them, and then just think of it as a day at the office, collateral damage. I think it's controversial when you create a system that you said is going to be the saviour of the modern world, that is allowed to create substances that are forced into our food because of the rule of law, that kill us and destroy us, and then trick us that you're going to save us with more substances called medicines that even make us worse and kill us, I think that's controversial. And I also think it's controversial that another man, or a woman for that matter, because they're just as bad, is allowed to force things into my food, to piss about in a little laboratory and just put it in my food. I think that's controversial. And I also think it's controversial when we're witnessing kids dying from brain tumours when they know what causes brain tumours. It's aspartame, people, created for their economy, because the creator of this aspartame, Donald Rumsfeld, tricked the American people when he said, it's the economy, stupid. I think it's stupid to follow America, because they're the ones that caused the Iraq War, they're the ones that caused worldwide terror, they caused worldwide poverty with their recession. It was their banks that done this, and they are the ones that now control your food. And their science is tricking our world with the reptilian brain theory, and their science is tricking our world with artificial intelligence, with the chip. Jesus warned you, the mark of the beast, that is artificial intelligence, and the chip. Their God is the false God. That's what Baal means. Artificial intelligence is false. Science is false. The belief in science is false. You are following the false God. Their religion is the same. They're connected. The Kabbalah and science. Here it is from the Pope's own mouth.
Gesù è uno spirito. Gesù non è uno spirito. Gesù è una persona, è un uomo.
There you go, there you have it. He's denounced Jesus as the spirit. So what is he saying then? Are we to follow the spirit that guided Einstein to create the atom bomb? Are we to follow the spirit that guides science? Is that what he's saying? Because he's saying that Jesus wasn't the spirit. Jesus was guided by the spirit world. He was guided by the will of his Father. Who then is this Pope? Who is guiding the will of this Pope? Or the mind of this Pope? What will is guiding this Pope? And what will is guiding the science to trick you now that your first brain was reptilian? That is what they're going to do, people. They're tricking you that your first brain was reptilian. Therefore, they're saying that you were first created by the reptile. The Bible teaches you who the reptile is, because the reptile created the apple, the elements of which, sugar, parabens and yeast, have been forced into your food that are destroying you. You see? That's how they've tricked you. So this is what science is tricking you with the reptilian brain theory. How did the reptile get into you? Well, yeast under microscopic inspection is a mini version of its creator, the shape-shifting spirit of the devil, the serpent. That is how it got into you, from the apple. That is why you were warned not to eat the apple. How comes religion never told you this? They're meant to be torchbearers of the truth, carriers of the message of Jesus. And he was the truth. See, the law is not the truth. Jesus is the truth. So how comes religion ain't teaching you the truth? Because they're not of Jesus, you see. They keep tricking you that Jesus was one of us. No. They executed Jesus and executed the truth. That is how the reptilian brain theory has manifested in our world. Because it got into your mind via the apple. And it got into your mind via the bread. God, the creator of all the good in our universe, the highest intelligent life force and the torchbearer of the truth, warned you not to eat the apple because it contains sugar that's destroying you, parabens that's destroying you. They both cause cancer, and it was spread around the body by yeast, the mini experimenter inside you all. And then his son came into the world to warn you of their bread. Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees. Heed my warning, he said. He said it twice. Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees. But the Bible tricks you that he didn't mean the word, the yeast, the leaven, the bread. He meant the words of the Pharisees. Now that is the biggest load of bullshit I have ever heard in my life. And I am offended by my religious leaders. And I am offended by the British establishment that have butchered, tortured and executed all my ancestors. And the ancestors of the British establishment butchered and tortured Jesus. They are the true executioners of Jesus. They are the true executioners of the truth. That is why the British establishment hold no truth, and following the British establishment will only engulf our world in more lies. You see, because the American establishment are descendants of the British establishment. The British Empire is now the American Empire. The American Empire is the British Empire. They are the same. They brought lies to our world, this science to our world. And they are tricking you that you are children of the devil. And Jesus, as I keep teaching you, is the truth, and he warned you. They will traverse land and sea to make one a proselyte like them. And when he becomes a proselyte, he becomes twice a child of hell. That is why, people, you are now back in hell. And that is why life is hell for all of you. You're all sick, diseased and dying. There is sickness and disease in you. Do not be alarmed. I can rid your body of it. But you yourself must help yourself. With your own mind, you must change your thought process. You believe an apple a day keeps the doctor away and that fruit is good for you. All fruit is forbidden. Who are you to believe? God, the creator of all the good in our universe, or science? Make your mind up now, people, because science always disagreed with God. We all know that. They're coming up with another bullshit theory, the Big Bang theory, that takes God out of the world. So religion is going to take God out of the world because they're going to go secular. Here we go. Well, Sadducee means to denounce the spirit world. Secularism is the same. This Pope is a Sadducee Pope because you just witnessed him denouncing the spirit of Jesus. So he's opened the gates for secularism. So I wouldn't trust him. I taught you not to trust Einstein. And Darwin and other scientists that they follow is even full of more bullshit. His argument is that there are things in the world that invade, conquer, take over and destroy. That's his argument. That's the way of the world he teaches. That's the way it will be. The Bible teaches you that's the way of the Hebrew. Hebrew brought science to the world. See, that's their little trick. Hebrew are meant to be religious, aren't they? But they brought science to the world, and science is now tricking you that it's okay to go around, invade, conquer and destroy and take over. A bit like the American ideal. That's what they've done to the Middle East. But it's okay to do it because it's the system of the world. You see? They're tricking you. And then they create weapons to allow them to do it. Created by their science. Protected by the law. That's their God. That's the system that he brought into the world. Religion, money and the rule of law. That's how they've always controlled you in their science and royalty. You're following the wrong leader all the time, and their leaders always are guided by the will of their God. Not our God, but their God. That is why they brought devastation and destruction to our people for the last 1,000 years. The last 1,000 years of Irish history is horrific. But thousands of years of the world is horrific because of this one group of people. And then they have Freud, that teaches you the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. I wouldn't trust a psychologist or a psychiatrist that follow his teachings of the ego, the superego and the alter ego. It's the biggest load of bullshit I have ever come across. The man was a sex pervert. Everything he looked at that was tall and erect, he said was a phallus. So he brought sexual desires into the world, but the apple was the original cause of sexual desires in your mind because sugar is a sex drug. And they now have many sex drugs in our foods. That's why the minds of your young always just think of sex or drugs. That's how they've tricked you, see? Sex, drugs and rock and roll. That's what science brought to your world. Sugar is a sex drug. MSG is a food derivative of LSD. And LSD brought demons and dark thoughts into the minds of the ones who took it, as this book teaches, and this comes from the mind of the one who created LSD. So he must know what he was talking about. He said that many people had a feeling of being taken over by an alien. That alien was the force of darkness that are around you. They're around many of you now because you imbibe the chemicals of the devil. And when you imbibe his chemicals, his elements, you have his elements around you. His physical elements are inside you, and his spiritual elements are around you. If you don't believe in the spirits, you don't believe in Jesus Christ. So I'd wise up if I was you people and listen to the people like me and many of me that are doing everything they can to get the truth out to you, but you don't want to listen. You want to keep playing your silly little games, drinking your alcohol, smoking your cigarettes, taking your drugs, and eating the shit of the devil that's killing you. You're killing yourself because your mind has been reversed. And the only person who can save you is yourself, as Jesus taught you when he said, your salvation is not to be sought in the external environment, but within the individual state of mind with regard to the environment. That, people, he was teaching you that you must save yourself. You must stop listening to the bullshit of the British and the American Empire. They are soon to drag our world into a nuclear war if you carry on listening to them. You see, America are not champions of the peace. They are champions of the liar. They speak for the one with the forked tongue. And that is the guide of their science. They honestly do believe that their God, the spirit of the devil, is the font of all knowledge. But we know that the apple tree that religion tricked us was meant to be the font of good and bad knowledge. So now you must see, because of their science and their religion, you have followed the bad knowledge. You've never followed the good knowledge, the truth. Bad is a lie. But the Freemasons that brought science to the world are tricking your useless, good-for-nothing, low-life, money-worshipping governments that truth and lies are just opinions. Well, it looks to me, people, that we have been following the wrong opinions. Why aren't we following the opinions of Jesus, that had a vision of peace, love, harmony, health and happiness for our world? Why are we in a world that's full of war, hatred, revenge, sickness and disease? A war brought to the world first by the Western world, the modern world as they call it, by Britain and now America. Britain went around the world butchering, torturing and terrorizing this belief into the world. And America recently did the same. So they are following the same beast. And they are con men, tricksters and deceivers. Not very logical to champion peace at the end of a bullet, the bomb, or a gun. Jesus came into the world armed with only the truth. If that was the way to bring peace to the world, I'm sure he would have been armed to the hilt. He was armed with the truth, people, and sadly, many of you don't know the truth. I do not mean to offend anyone or upset anyone as I keep teaching you, but anyone that's riddled with disease doesn't know the truth. And many of you are riddled with disease. You are all riddled with disease because you eat their foods. You're not meant to eat fruit, you're not meant to eat their bread, you're not meant to eat processed foods, you're not meant to eat fast food, and you certainly ain't meant to eat meat. If you are meant to eat meat, then why Did God, the creator of all the good, the highest intelligent life force throughout the universe, the creator of nature, save the creatures before the tsunami and not you then? Work that out now, people. Why were they saved? If they're useless, no good animals, good for nothing animals, just worthless and only good for eating, how comes they were saved and you wasn't? You're meant to be the highest intelligent life forces on this planet. Nah. You've got lesser intelligence than the creatures and the plants. You are the dumbest creatures that ever graced this beautiful earth. It's not your fault. I said, I don't mean to offend you or upset you, but what I do say will, because it's controversial to your mind, because your mind has now been set by another entity. You're warned of this entity in the Bible, but the religious leaders never told you this. The devil does exist, people, and he is in all of you, sadly, because his elements is in all of you. But as I said, I can wash them out of you. I am guided by the Spirit of Jesus, the force of light. He's saved me, and he's created a solution to help me save you. It's up to you now who you believe. Do you want to believe your religious leaders and your scientific leaders? Or do you want to believe somebody that's guided by the Spirit of light? And that should have been your true religion, to follow the Spirit of Christ, the Spirit of Jesus. What's a Catholic? And even their Christians don't follow his belief. They tricked you that they were Christians. The American government are meant to be Christians. The British establishment are meant to be Christians. What Christian are they following? It must be someone called Christian and not Jesus Christ. The true followers of Jesus follow his Spirit. They are the Gnostics that the Vatican hunted down, butchered, tortured and slaughtered, like they did to Jesus Christ himself. And they attempted to burn a book that he wrote with his followers. They are now known as the Nag Hammadi Gospels, and in that it has more reference to the mind. Mary Magdalene said, "How do you see the visions? Is it through the spirit or the soul?" Jesus answered, "Neither, it's in between the two, the mind." Just another reference to the mind. And they attempt to destroy your mind via the foods, and then they destroy your minds with their psychology. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. A little bit of something bad does you no harm. Well, a little bit of something bad is now built up and it's destroying you. And it's soon going to annihilate hundreds of millions of you. Because America, with their science, is going to cause a nuclear war. You see, they believe that they are following the will of God. We have to stop them. We have to rise up against this evil. And if you don't, they'll carry on doing it, because they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. They just recently did it with Iraq, annihilating 1 million innocent people. They don't care. They believe it's their path. They believe it's their God's will. They caused a world recession that brought poverty, sickness and disease to many of you. They don't care. They put the elements that you were warned not to eat in your foods, because they don't give a shit, because their law allowed them to do it. And then they added aspartame and MSG. And when we knew that sugar, a so-called natural element, was killing us, their law allowed it to stay in and forced your governments to be silent. Your useless, good-for-nothing, low-life, money-worshipping governments allowed it to happen. I wouldn't trust any member of this Irish government, not one of them. I wouldn't allow them to wipe my backside. And that's coming from the mind of Jesus, by the way, because I'm led by his mind. He can see what all they are doing, and he wouldn't trust them, not one of them. They're soon to change your law, a diversity law, which can allow all the misfits of Europe to descend upon Ireland, and it will allow all the paedophiles to descend upon Ireland. But just like the guy that ate the guy's face off, or people that think they're werewolves, people that murder, paedophiles are guided by the same mind that homosexuals are guided by. Because when your mind is flooded by the elements of evil, you'll be guided by the thoughts of evil. Science created LSD. LSD taught of your body being taken over by alien beings, and that alien being is the force of darkness. And homosexuals do take drugs. The British establishment, both sides, hold homosexual drug-fueled orgies because they don't believe in our God, you see. They believe in their science, and their science is guided by the other God. You need to wise up really fast, people of Ireland, and, change this government, because that's the only way you're going to change your mind. Because they're forcing laws upon you. I wouldn't listen to any law. As I said, Jesus detested the law. Why should we follow the law? We should follow Jesus. The law isn't the truth, people. I did tell you the Birmingham 6 to Guildford 4, all our ancestors. How many more of our people are we going to allow this law to destroy? How many more peoples of our world are we going to allow this law to destroy? Are we going to be another group of Iraqis? You see, it's because of this law and their science, they created the famine. And it's because of this law and this science that half the population of Ireland, that was alleged to have been 8 million, were wiped out because of another food created by science, the potato, brought to the Irish shores by one of the lords of the British establishment. And the lords created science. They are now modern Freemasons. Now you know the truth, people. I hope you have become wise, because Jesus was a very wise man. Why? Because his mind was guided by the will of his Father, the creator of all the good in our universe, the highest intelligent life force. And you have become one of the lowest, even lower than a bacteria, a single-cell organism. Creatures are more intelligent than you, and the plants are more intelligent than you. Sadly, you are guided by the intelligence of the devil. You can change, people. That change starts with all of you. You need to change your mind, and the way you change your mind is to reverse how they've changed your mind. You must take out the element of the devil, of evil. The sugars, the MSGs, the aspartames, all the other elements in their processed fast foods. You must never eat their foods, especially fast and processed foods. You must prepare your own and grow your own when you can, where you can. Help each other, set up communities to grow this food. Eat the foods of the soil, as Hippocrates taught, the foods of the earth. Then they will contain the elements from God, the creator of all the good. They will shower down from the heavens and fill the soil, and we will eat the foods of the heavens. We must stop them spraying slurry on our land. That's the first thing you must do. And you must stop them putting chemicals into your soil. And you must not eat the chemicals they put into your foods. Sweets are not treats, mothers out there. Chocolate is not a treat. Treat is a trick word of the devil. All sweets contain sugar, and you saw what sugar done. Therefore it's not a treat, is it? To give your child something that's going to kill the organisms inside it. Wise up, people, because it's your minds that are killing you, not the mind of my God. How can you be saved when you don't know the truth, or when you don't believe the truth and you just ignore the truth and you think you can do what you want because the law allows you to? They're going to trick you with a freedom of choice. That choice has allowed you to kill yourself. Smoke my cigarettes. That's a selfish act. I smoke, so I understand. But anyone out there now that continues to smoke must also see it as a selfish act. And selfishness is not the way of my God, nor his Son, Jesus Christ, who gave up his life to save us. But you must now understand and see smoking as a selfish act, because not only are you destroying the life that was gifted to you by God, the creator of all the good, the highest intelligent life force, you're destroying the life of the elements around you, the spirits around you. That's why they tricked you that smoking is okay. Calms your nerves. That's what they told many of my ancestors. They even tricked some of them that it was good for their thyroids. And they're now making it cool with banana and chocolate flavours for your kids. That's how evil they are. Then you've got alcohol. That not only destroys your mind, it brings the dark forces around you, like LSD. Alcohol is a chemical, LSD is a chemical. So when you imbibe these elements, you are bringing the dark forces around you. Trust me, it is the truth. That's why when people take too much alcohol, they become violent, aggressive and destructive, because they're destroying themselves within, and then their mind destroys other people around them. That's why they beat people up and even kill people, because they're guided by the dark forces. That is the truth. And then they make alcohol for your kids. They make alcohol, look great. And then a supermarket that sponsors the Labour Party that brought the world war to the world, worldwide terror, worldwide recession and worldwide sickness and disease, because they're sponsored by supermarkets that allowed alcohol to be sold at a loss. These supermarkets that created these alcohol pops, and then cigarettes, etc. And diseased meat, by the way. That is the system that you're following. So you become selfish. You only think of yourself, not others. You've lost your altruism, which is to think of yourself and the world around you. And that is what Jesus taught. That is what ancient Christian beliefs taught. As I taught you, it doesn't become, your salvation is not in the external environment, but within the individual state of mind. But now your mind has become selfish. You only care about yourself or care about money. And that was recently proven within Ireland. You all got up and marched about water. Yeah, let's go and march for water. Why is that? Because they tax the water. Money, you see. You believe now that money is vital for life, but can you drink money when the water is diseased, full of toxins and bacteria? Can you eat money when your land is diseased and barren, as it was during the famine, and your meat is then diseased, full of bacteria? And can that money cure you of all the diseases caused by their water, their foods, and the chemicals in the atmosphere, especially the people who smoke? Nah. That's why you're all sick, diseased and dying. So I wouldn't follow this system of science, because science created the economy. Science created sickness and disease, the chemicals in the food, the chemicals in their drugs, and science makes money. See? Trick of the devil. And now this system is going to be controlled by artificial intelligence, Bitcoin. And then the rule of law is going to be handed over to artificial intelligence. Oh, I hope you're making sense now of how you've been tricked to be the way you are. So don't get angry at me, get angry at them. It's not my fault your children are having homosexual thoughts, thoughts of suicide, deep depression, thoughts to kill somebody. It's not my fault. It's their fault. I didn't create the chemicals. Don't get childish and have a go at me. Have a go at their science. Have a go at your religious leaders for not telling you the truth for a start. And how is it that the three religions of the world, the modern religions, Judaism, Islam and Christianity, all have paedophilia amongst their people? Drug takers, drug users, terrorists and murderers, rapists, deceivers, con artists, tricksters, money worshippers. How is it? How is it? You see, Jesus detested their money. Don't you remember him throwing the tables up in the air? And how is a system that is meant to be religious teaching science? Well, that's a bit schizophrenic, isn't it? Jesus said you cannot worship two gods. But either following religion or science, you're only following one God anyway. And I've told you who that God is now. And you must realise that, because that's why all the minds in all these three religions of the world, modern religions, have the thoughts of the devil. Not of peace, love, harmony, health and happiness. That's why they believe that war is holy. Not really holy, is it, to go and murder 1 million innocent people? And then they come and want revenge. Well, that's the same as the Old Testament. We're back in the Old Testament again, of war, hatred and revenge. These so-called Christians, they're not Christians, by the way. They trick you that they are. Go and kill 1 million innocent Iraqis, and then the people of Iraq and all the other surrounding areas, the Muslims, then come and want revenge. Well, you know, if somebody hit you in the face, I'm guaranteed that many of you in here would probably want to hit them back. Some of you might get scared and run away, or some of you might want to, you'll cry or whatever. And then there'll be many amongst you that will see this act of terror, the first smack, and see you all scared and crying, and want to stand up and protect you. That's admirable, but it's wrong. Jesus stood up and protected us, but he didn't hit them back. He only hit them back with the truth, and that's what scared them, his truth. He was teaching you who the real terrorists of our world were, and the fact that they killed him, butchered and tortured him and murdered him is evidence. And our world is now led by those people that executed Jesus, by those people that executed the Iraqis, by those people that executed all our ancestors, and by those people that executed all the ancestors of the world. Jesus called them children of hell, people, and Jesus was never one of them. Never. His parents were Palestinian. So that's a little bit of a clue now who I'm talking about, because I have to be a little bit careful here now, because I can be done for racism. You see, they can do whatever they want to do because of this rule of law. But people like me that want to speak the truth have to be very careful, as Jesus did in his day. But, like Jesus, people like me that want the truth out to you are courageous, and they'll do anything to get it out to you. The Assanges, the Snowdens, the Bradley Mannings. That's 3 that America want to silence. Why do they want to silence the truth? Why don't we have a debate about it? Why do they assassinate people? Wake up, people. Murder is the ultimate sin. I do hope now you realise why you are the way you are and how you can change. But you now must realise that you are a part of that change, and to stay the way you are, it will be your own fault. And the only way to get into heaven is to follow Jesus. And the only way to follow Jesus is to go through him. And how do you go through Jesus? You follow his mind. That's how you follow Jesus. And none of you follow Jesus. His birthday wasn't on the 25th of December. I can say that now, because I don't want to upset the children amongst you. The devil's birthday was on that date, and you have followed the devil ever since they executed Jesus. And all modern religions follow the devil because they believe in Adam and Eve, the children of hell, the 2 children that turned their back on God and created the apple tree in our physical world and forced us to eat it. That is why the British royalty and all Western royalty brought the apple to our world, and they brought the potato, the masculine version of this apple, because the potato is full of starch. Starch is sugar. Sugar is killing us. Sugar is their oldest toxin. It comes from the apple. I wouldn't believe science, by the way, because I've told you now all the things they've done to you and the law. It's because, as the Bible teaches, the rule of law is what these people believed in, and money and their science. You see, Jesus warned you not to eat the leaven of the Pharisees. Leaven is bread. Bread is a scientific experiment. Yeah, right? Alcohol is also a scientific experiment. So how comes the church brought these 2 elements in so-called honour of Jesus? He warned you to beware of the leaven of the Pharisees. That's a scientific experiment. So why are they bringing leaven and offered it to you at the altar? And many of you won't know that the bread they offered you at the altar contained yeast. And many of you don't know that yeast is a mini version of the devil. It's a snake. Under microscopic inspection, yeast resembles a serpent, a snake. The serpent is the creator of the apple. And why would they offer you wine? Alcohol destroys the mind. Alcohol is destroying the minds of all our young up and down the length and breadth of our country. So why would a religion that alleges to follow Jesus trick your mind that it's okay to drink wine in moderation and then offer you bread? Not really following Jesus, are they, people? Not my fault now. Don't get childish with me. I am speaking out against religion, all religions, and I am speaking against science, all science, because Jesus came into the world to teach you a way, not a religion or not a science. And anyone that believes in any religion or any science is now a believer in the devil, a proselyte like them. Science is based on theories, and a theorist is a person who theorizes, a person given to forming theories. And theory means a supposition explaining something, especially a generalization explaining phenomena as the results of assumed natural causes, a speculative idea of something, mere hypothesis, speculation, abstract knowledge, an exposition of the general principles of a science, etc. Abstract knowledge. Einstein taught you where he received his knowledge from outer space, outside his body. The creator of LSD, who then went on to create chemicals that are in medicines, had his mind controlled by an alien being, a force of darkness. And that alien being is now inside you all. As I taught you earlier, that is why Jesus warned his followers to beware of the leaven. You must now all avoid the foods of science, especially yeast, if you are to be a true follower of Jesus and his Father, the creator of all the good. The choice is yours. And do not blame my God and insult his intelligence when you continue to destroy yourselves. You must point the finger of blame at yourselves. And I know that upsets many of you, and I hope it does, because the finger should be pointed truly and squarely at the British Empire that has now become the American Empire, and all your religious leaders and scientific leaders. Not my God. He brought the truth into the world, and no religion, nor any science, carries his message. That is why they keep telling you there are no cures. And anyone that believes in this theory doesn't believe in Jesus. He was a healer. Why then are we sick, diseased and dying? Supposition, explaining something. Generalization, explaining phenomena of assumed natural causes. A speculative idea or something. Mere hypothesis. Speculative supposition. To accept as probable, to surmise, to lay down without proof, to assume by way of argument or illustration, to imagine, to believe. Now, I taught you earlier that the Iraq War was caused by the British establishment, that both sides of their establishment hold drug-fueled homosexual orgies. It's the drugs that create the homosexual thoughts, the chemicals that the drugs are created with, the same chemicals that create their foods, the apple being their first food that cause these mind-altering effects. The apple makes alcohol, the alcohol alters your mind, therefore the food that made the alcohol will also alter your mind. The creator of LSD, Hoffman, then went on to create chemicals that are now in your medicines. So their foods contain drugs and their medicines contain drugs that alter your mind, and your mind was meant to be the main message of Jesus, as I've taught you. Their archaeologists also imbibe drugs. They go into the Amazon and imbibe ayahuasca, which is a chemical solution made from two plants, hallucinogenic plants. You see, so now you know their religion imbibes drugs, shamanic practice, which is prevalent now in America because of the Kabbalah, spread around America by pop stars and film stars, their so-called celebrities. That's how they've tricked you, and tricked you always. That's the tactic that they've used all throughout the centuries, to trick your mind that it's okay to take drugs, or it's okay to be homosexual because their celebrities are homosexual. That's why your TVs are flooded with homosexuals. 10 years ago there wasn't one on the telly. Now they're on every programme. They're presenting children's programmes. They're even teaching your kids in school about homosexuality. It's not their fault that they're homosexual, but it is some of their faults because they take drugs. But they've been tricked to take drugs, and sadly most of your kids have been forced to take drugs, so your minds have been forced to follow a different mindset. That is why the so-called followers of Jesus that brought Catholicism to the Western world kept the main message of Jesus secret, and that is, therefore I say unto you, whatever you desire when you pray, believe, and you shall have them. But it now must be obvious that you are following the belief of their science, brought to your world by Kabbalists. That is why the world is the way it is, because their science forces your mind to alter. And that is why you are not following the belief of Jesus, but the imagination of the devil. That is a powerful trick that they forced upon our world. And you now know who they are because they executed Jesus, and Jesus warned you that they were children of the devil. And I am warning you that he was not one of them. He was a Palestinian, and look at what they are doing to the Palestinians. Freedom is a gift from God. Why do they hold the Palestinians prisoners when we now see the system that they brought to the world has terrorized our world? Therefore they are the real terrorists. The Palestinians didn't bring science, money, or the rule of law to the Western world. The group of people that hold the Palestinians prisoners did, and they now hold all of you prisoners in your own mind. And soon they are going to trick your mind and force your mind into a worldwide nuclear war. The Third World War has already started. Do not be fooled that it's going to be caused in North Korea or another part of the world. They've already started it. They've already caused it, as they did with all wars. They caused all the wars in the Old Testament. They caused the first, the second and the third, as all the evidence proves. Because all your governments and all your religious leaders imbibe drugs. Jesus taught you to keep the body pure, because your body is your mind, as I've just taught you. Therefore, the signals that you receive from your body go into your conscious mind, and that is the belief that you have. And when your mind is pure and full of the elements of nature, created by the God of all the good, then your thoughts will be of all the good, as his son's thoughts were, of peace, love, harmony, health and happiness. But when your body is flooded with alcohol and drugs, you'll have thoughts of homosexuality, thoughts of aggression, destruction, murder, and now sadly cannibalism. The world needs to change its mind fast, and the only way that we can do that is to stop believing in Britain and America and their little mate in the middle, France. These three nations have caused all wars, modern wars, all ancient wars. Their controllers have caused all ancient wars, and they've caused all worldwide sickness and disease, poverty, death and destruction. That is because they are guided by the will of the devil. He does exist, people. He is now in the minds of all of you, because your minds have been changed. You believe that homosexuality is okay. Soon it's going to be paedophilia and all the other evils that these people brought to the Roman Empire. They've controlled all empires. Every religion is wrong. They don't follow the belief of Jesus. But let me just educate many of the people in the Western world. The Muslims do not control your science, nor do they provide you your foods full of sugar that is destroying you. Please wake up, people of the West, before the nightmare gets far worse. A nuclear war is descending rapidly upon us. America must be stopped. And people of Ireland, Donald Trump is a Presbyterian. And the Presbyterians brought hell to Ireland. So I wouldn't trust that man if I was Irish. So anyone that has cousins in America, please inform them of what I am teaching you. Hillary Clinton is no better either. None of the American establishment, not one of them to a man or a woman, nor this Irish one, can be trusted. Rise up, but do it peacefully, because Jesus was the torchbearer of the peace, love, harmony, health and happiness. And he didn't come to bring you a religion or a science, but a way. And you follow him through the avenues of your mind, not the avenues of the devil. Please be wiser before they kill all of you.